My name is Corporal Groover, and I'm going to be going over a briefing on identifying effectiveness of leadership styles in the Army. On today's agenda, first off, the briefing that you'll be hearing today is unclassified. We're going to go over a quick risk assessment. All you'll need for this class is a writing utensil and paper to take notes. Again, we're going to be going over identifying leadership styles in the Army. I've broke these down into two groups, task-oriented leadership and relationship-oriented leadership, and then I'll take questions at the end. So for today's risk assessment, the overall risk level is low. However, there are a few hazards that we want to make sure that we're paying attention to. First off, we want to cover any extension or power cords and watch where you step to ensure that you do not trip or fall over any power cords. In the case of a fire, we're going to exit as soon as possible and then take accountability of everyone that was inside the building as soon as we get outside to a safe spot. In the case of an active shooter, we want to hide, seek cover, and then fight when necessary. The Army is a green Army, so we want to reduce, reuse, and recycle to ensure that we have a cleaner environment. So since the turn of the century, research into effective leadership has brought to light many leadership styles present in the Army. While there is no single definition of leadership, one can define it as a behavior in which a leader acts or exhibits characteristics of leadership. Two distinct behavior roles of leadership are task-oriented leadership and relationship-oriented leadership. These roles can be expressed by behavior characteristics of initiating structure and consideration. Initiating structure or task-oriented leadership expresses the degree to which a leader can define the roles of their followers, focus on goal achievement, and establish well-defined patterns of communication. Consideration or relationship leadership expresses the degree to which a leader shows concern and respect for their followers, looks out for their welfare, and expresses appreciation and support. Relationship-oriented puts the employee first and values the relationship between employee and employer, whereas task-oriented leadership focuses on the job at hand rather than the relationship. Task-oriented leadership is a behavior approach in which leaders focus on the task at hand to meet performance standards. This style has its strengths and its weaknesses. The biggest strength of task-oriented leadership is that all jobs are completed in a timely manner with a purpose and a goal. While task-oriented is effective in completing the task, it hurts organizational innovation and demoralizes employees, which can lead to high turnover rates. Task-oriented leadership has several characteristics to make sure that the job gets done. They're highly logical and analytical. They delegate work to maximize productivity and outline specific requirements required of the leader. This allows the leader to maintain a high standard with peak efficiency. Relationship-oriented leaders focus on the job satisfaction, motivation, and work-life balance of the employees. The biggest strength of relationship-oriented leadership is the creation of an environment that everyone wants to be a part of. A weakness is that the style that focuses on a team spirit could hinder the actual task at hand and deal with not meeting deadlines on time. The biggest difference, task-oriented leadership and relationship-oriented leadership, is that the relationship-oriented leadership handles productivity by creating a positive environment, while task-oriented leadership handles productivity by setting procedures. The problem with identifying which leadership style is most effective in the Army is that there's not enough current research on task-oriented leadership or relationship-oriented leadership in the Army. Measuring leadership in an organization is extremely important. Measuring leadership allows the followers to behaviors into which a relationship to the leadership style is present. This allows organizations to understand where change needs to occur to build a positive organizational culture. Measurement is essential in order to have a clear indication of effectiveness of leadership to ensure that the deployment of best practices is in place. The measurement of leadership in the Army is important in order to understand what changes need to be made in leadership in order to build a positive environment with soldiers who are effectively committed to the mission and the vision of the Army. Leadership behaviors have different effects on the followers' effective commitment based on culture of workplace. For example, consideration had a stronger effect on U.S. employees and is individualistic in nature, whereas initiating structure had a stronger effect on Korean employees, where the culture is collective in nature. A leader can start out as a task-oriented leader when he is introduced to his new role and developed into a relationship-oriented leader. For example, when a new company commander takes control of a company, he or she will most likely focus on getting the task done on time and primarily be more concerned with productivity. As time goes on and his or her company is meeting all the requirements on time, the commander could develop a relationship-oriented style of leadership and focus more on morale within the company to allow for low turnover rates and higher retention within the soldiers. This will allow soldiers of the company to increase creativity, and the soldiers will want to get the task done themselves on a timely manner and want the company to succeed for benefit of themselves. Whereas if they still fell under a task-oriented leader, they would just be doing their job with no thought of their company succeeding. Examining research on leadership behaviors allows it to be inferred that choosing between task-oriented leadership or relationship-oriented leadership will depend on the culture of the followers of the organization. Identifying leadership that is currently displayed in the Army will be beneficial to enhance effective commitment in the Army, which will help with retaining future leaders of the Army. Is there any questions? Alrighty, and that concludes the briefing on identifying effectiveness of leadership styles in the Army.